Imagine waking up one morning, walking out to your car like you've done 100 times before, coffee in hand, keys ready, and then you see it. A dent. Not a huge one. Not something that completely ruins the car. But it's there. A small, ugly little ding in the side of your vehicle that absolutely was not there yesterday. At first you think maybe it's nothing. Maybe you bumped something and forgot. Maybe a shopping cart rolled into it. But then you look at the angle of the dent, and you realize something. This didn't come from a cart. This looks exactly like a car door. And suddenly, the quiet little parking lot where you live doesn't feel so peaceful anymore. Because if that dent came from someone else's door, that means someone hit your car and just drove away like nothing happened. That's exactly the situation that brought two neighbors into the courtroom of Judge Judy. What started as a tiny parking lot ding turned into accusations, arguments, and a neighbor feud that spiraled completely out of control. And as always, when people walk into Judge Judy's courtroom with a story, she wants proof. The plaintiff in this case is a woman who says her neighbor damaged her car while opening their door in a shared parking area. According to her, the incident didn't just happen once. She believes it happened multiple times. She says she noticed small dents appearing on the side of her vehicle over time. At first she brushed it off, thinking maybe it was bad luck. But eventually she started noticing something strange. Every single dent lined up perfectly with where the neighbor's car door would swing open. And once she noticed that pattern, she couldn't unsee it. So she began paying closer attention. She started checking her car more often. And that's when she claims she caught the problem in the act. According to her, she saw the neighbor open their car door directly into her vehicle. Not gently, not carefully, just swing smack, like it didn't matter. Now, most people would probably walk over, talk it out, maybe ask the neighbor to be more careful. But by the time this moment happened, the plaintiff says she was already frustrated from seeing damage appear again and again. So instead of letting it go, she confronted the neighbor. And that conversation did not go well. The defendant, of course, tells a completely different story. He says he never damaged her car. Not once. According to him, the parking lot is tight, the spaces are narrow, and everyone who parks there has to deal with limited room. He admits their cars are parked next to each other often, but he insists that he's careful. In his version of the story, the dents on her car could have come from anywhere. A shopping cart, another neighbor, a previous accident, but definitely not him. He says the plaintiff became obsessed with blaming him for every little mark she found on her vehicle. And once that accusation started, things between them got tense very quickly. Soon, what had once been a simple neighbor relationship turned into cold stares in the parking lot, awkward silence when passing each other, and eventually full-blown arguments. The plaintiff says she tried to resolve the issue directly. She asked him to pay for the damage to her car, which she claims required repairs at an auto body shop. But the defendant refused. Why? Because in his mind, he didn't do anything wrong. And paying for damage he didn't cause wasn't something he was about to do. That's when the situation escalated to the point where the plaintiff decided the only way to settle it was in court. So she filed a claim. When the case begins, Judge Judy listens carefully as the plaintiff explains what happened. She describes noticing the dents, watching where the cars were parked, and eventually seeing the defendant's door strike her vehicle. Judge Judy asks the first question that almost always comes up in cases like this. Did you take pictures? The plaintiff says yes. And that immediately catches Judge Judy's attention, because photos can change everything in a case like this. The plaintiff explains that once she suspected the neighbor was responsible, she began documenting the damage. She took pictures of the dents, pictures of the parking layout, and pictures showing how close the cars were when parked next to each other. She believed the photos would prove her point. Judge Judy asks to see them. The images show the side of the plaintiff's car with small dents and marks along the door panel. They're not huge, but they're clearly visible. Judge Judy studies the pictures carefully. Then she looks at the defendant. Did you hit her car with your door? The defendant answers quickly. No, Your Honor. He says he's parked next to her many times, but he's always careful when opening his door. He insists he would have noticed if he hit another vehicle. Judge Judy raises an eyebrow. Because here's the thing about small parking lot dings. Most people don't actually notice when they happen. A quick swing of the door, a light tap, and unless it's loud or dramatic, the person opening the door might not even realize they made contact. Judge Judy points that out immediately. She explains that people hit other cars with their doors all the time and often claim they didn't notice. The defendant still insists it wasn't him. So Judge Judy starts digging deeper. She asks about the parking spaces.
How wide are they?
How close are the cars when parked? Is there enough room to open a door comfortably? The plaintiff says the spaces are very tight, which is exactly why she believes the defendant's door kept hitting her vehicle. Judge Judy asks whether anyone else parks next to the plaintiff regularly. Because if multiple people park in that spot, it becomes harder to prove exactly who caused the damage. The plaintiff says the defendant is almost always the one parked next to her. That detail becomes important. Then Judge Judy asks another critical question. Did anyone actually witness the door hitting the car? The plaintiff says yes once. She claims she saw it herself. She says she watched the defendant open his door, and it made contact with her vehicle. Judge Judy immediately follows up. If you saw it happen, what did you do? The plaintiff says she confronted him. And according to her, he brushed it off and acted like it wasn't a big deal. The defendant interrupts and says that's not true. He claims that when she confronted him, she was already angry and accusing him of damaging her car repeatedly. He says the conversation felt less like a discussion and more like an attack. Judge Judy stops both of them, because what she wants to know isn't who was more upset during the argument. She wants evidence. The plaintiff says she has repair estimates showing how much it costs to fix the dents. She provides paperwork from an auto body shop. Judge Judy looks through the documents. The repair estimate isn't small. Even minor dents can cost hundreds of dollars to fix properly, especially if paintwork is involved. The plaintiff is asking the court to order the defendant to pay for those repairs. But Judge Judy points out something important. Just because damage exists doesn't automatically prove who caused it. That's where the burden of proof comes in. In small claims court, the person making the accusation has to prove their case. Judge Judy asks the plaintiff again about the moment she claims she saw the door hit her car. Did you take a picture right then? Did you record it? Did anyone else see it? The plaintiff says no. She didn't capture the moment on camera.
She just saw it happen.
The defendant immediately jumps in and says that's exactly the problem. He says she has no proof that he did it. Only assumptions. Judge Judy leans back and thinks for a moment. Then she asks a question that shifts the focus. How long have these dents been appearing? The plaintiff explains that they started showing up over several months. That timeline matters, because if dents appeared over time, it becomes harder to prove that a single person caused all of them. Judge Judy points that out. Even if the defendant accidentally hit her car once, that doesn't automatically mean he caused every dent she's claiming. The plaintiff argues that the placement of the dents matches where the defendant's door would hit. Judge Judy studies the photos again. The marks do appear to line up along the side of the vehicle. But alignment alone isn't definitive proof. The defendant says something interesting at this point. He admits that the parking spaces are tight. But he also says that the plaintiff herself could have hit his car with her door. And now she's trying to blame him first. That accusation changes the tone in the courtroom instantly. The plaintiff looks shocked. She insists she has never hit his car. Judge Judy asks the defendant if his car has any dents or marks that would support his claim. He says no. At least none that he noticed. Judge Judy smiles slightly, because that answer doesn't help him very much. If he's claiming she hit his car repeatedly, there would likely be visible damage. Without it, the argument sounds more like speculation. At this point, Judge Judy starts explaining something that many drivers learn the hard way. Parking lot incidents are notoriously difficult to prove. Unless there's video footage or a clear witness, cases often come down to circumstantial evidence. She asks both of them whether the parking lot has security cameras. The answer is no. If there had been cameras, this entire case might have been solved in seconds. Instead, Judge Judy has to rely on logic. She reviews the photos again, looks at the repair estimate, and listens carefully as both sides repeat their arguments. The plaintiff believes the pattern of dents proves the defendant's door caused the damage. The defendant insists it's coincidence and that he's being blamed unfairly. Finally, Judge Judy delivers one of her classic observations. She says that people often underestimate how much damage a simple door ding can cause. Even a small tap can leave a noticeable dent, especially if it happens multiple times in the same area. But she also reminds the plaintiff that suspicion isn't the same as proof. Seeing someone open their door near your car once doesn't automatically prove they caused months of damage. Judge Judy then focuses on the single incident the plaintiff claims she personally witnessed. If she truly saw the defendant's door hit her car, that event alone could justify some level of compensation. But there's still the issue of evidence. Without photos or video of the exact moment, it becomes her word against his. And that's where Judge Judy's experience comes into play. She watches the way both sides speak, their tone, their consistency, their body language, because in many small claims cases, credibility matters just as much as physical evidence. After hearing everything, Judge Judy begins explaining how she views the situation. She says it's entirely possible that the defendant's door hit the plaintiff's car at some point. Tight parking spaces make that kind of accident extremely common. But the plaintiff is asking the court to hold the defendant responsible for all of the dents on her vehicle. And that's where the case becomes more complicated. Judge Judy says she cannot simply assume that every dent came from the same source without stronger proof. The plaintiff looks nervous, because that statement suggests the outcome might not be what she hoped for. Judge Judy explains that in court, you must prove your case with a preponderance of evidence. In other words, the evidence has to show that your version of events is more likely true than not. She reviews the photos one last time. Then she asks the plaintiff a final question. How much are you suing for? The plaintiff states the amount. It reflects the total repair estimate for fixing all the dents. Judge Judy nods slowly, and then she delivers her decision. She explains that while she believes the parking situation likely caused some contact between the vehicles, the plaintiff did not prove that the defendant was responsible for every single dent shown in the repair estimate. However, Judge Judy also says that the plaintiff's testimony about witnessing the door hit her car carries some weight. She finds it believable that at least one incident occurred. So instead of awarding the full repair amount, Judge Judy decides to award a smaller portion that she believes reasonably reflects a single door ding incident. The plaintiff doesn't get everything she asked for, but she doesn't walk away empty-handed either. The defendant, on the other hand, clearly isn't thrilled. Even partial responsibility means he's being ordered to pay. Judge Judy closes the case with a piece of advice that probably applies to millions of drivers everywhere. If you're parking next to someone else's car, be careful. Open your door slowly. Watch where it swings. Because one careless moment in a crowded parking lot can lead to arguments, accusations, and sometimes even a trip to court. And in this case, what started as a tiny dent turned two neighbors into courtroom enemies, all over a door that swung just a little too far.